We are on Shabbos. We're going to do Daf Gimel and Daf Dalid because last night was Purim. So we read the Megillah last night, so we couldn't learn Daf Yomi since our Daf Yomi shir takes place at 8 o'clock at night. So we'll have to do both blot today.
They're not too long.
Elababa the Seifa the Potter. So we said we described 8 cases in the Mishnah, but really they're double. It could be 16. So we said the first. So the Gemara answers Potter umuter loiktani. There were cases in the Mishnah where, for example, the balabais was on the inside. It just has his hand out there, and the oni lifts something on the outside and puts it on his hand on the inside. He did everything, so he's chayav achatas, and the balabais didn't do anything, so he's completely mutter. So those 4 cases, where you can describe 4 cases where it's completely mutter, they didn't mention. Elababa the Seifa the Potter of Avaloser Kasha. You still have a problem in the Seifa where it's not Potter mutter, it's Potter Avaloser, so there should be 12. So first the Gemara wants to know, because you talked about cases which is Potter umutter, which is completely permitted. Me'ike b'kul Shabbos Potter umutter. Is there such a thing where when the Chachamim say Potter, it means you're mutter completely? Omar Shmuel stated, "Kol p'turei de Shabbos Potter Avaloser." In all cases, when the Chachamim say Potter, it means Potter Avaloser. You're Potter from achates, but you're not allowed to do it. Bar mahani tlas, except for 3 exceptions, the Potter umutter. What are the 3 exceptions? Tzeidas tzvi, hunting of a deer. For example, let's say a deer walks into a house, a room, and a person sits at the doorway. So there, you didn't do anything. Rabbi Eliezer is going to explain why there it's completely permitted, and there it's Potter umutter. You're not doing anything active to hunt him. You happen to be just sitting there. You don't even know that the deer is in there. Let's say that's not similar with a snake. Umapis mursa. Mursa is like a boil that you open it up so that it pours out. So there, that's also permitted. And that has a mice. All of these have a little bit of a mice, but these are exceptions because it's permitted. But in all other cases, it's Potter Avaloser. So how can you tell me our case are Potter umutter? It violates this din of Shmuel. So ki yitzrich le'lishmuel p'tur dikovid ma'isa. Those are exceptions where there's a little bit of a ma'isa. But the loy kovid ma'isa iketuva. But examples, for example, where the balabais just stands there and something is put in his hand, where he's not doing any action at all, there are many examples throughout Shabbos where it's going to be Potter umutter. Still, mikol makom tati sari havim. We end up with 12 and not 8 cases. So the Gemara has a nice answer. P'turi de asabula de chiv chates kachashuv. De lo asabula de chiv chates loy kachashuv. Remember, you need 2 actions. You need an akira and a hanocha. You need to lift something from a place, and you have to put it down someplace. So in the cases where he lifted it, where if he put it down by himself, it would have, or there is a potential for chiyuv chatas. But in the case where the akira was done in a permissible way, and it's only a hanocha that could be done, well,
It's only one part.
It's the last part. It was never going to have a chiyuv chatas because you didn't have the proper akira. When you have an akira, you never know. Maybe it could be completed in a proper way, which would give the guy chatas. So those are not counted either. So you're back to 8. Now the Gemara asks a more fundamental question. You have the oni and the balabais, right? So the 2 of them together are accomplishing a malacha. So the Gemara doesn't understand. Well, how could they be pturim? But a malacha was done between the 2 of them. Why shouldn't they be held responsible? So there's a reason. Tanya, Rabbi Oimer, there's a pasuk. Me'am ha'aretz pa'asosa, and we darshan from there. Ha'oisa es kula, v'lo ha'osa es miktsasa. Who is liable for chatas? somebody who by himself does the whole malacha. If he only does part of the malacha, he's not chayiv v'chatas.
But in the case of the only, when he
Meaning,
puts it in-
yachid v'asa oisa chayiv shnayim. Chayiv. Yachid v'asa oisa chayiv. Shnayim v'asa oisa p'tur. Meaning, when the ani is on the outside, and he picks something up from the outside, and puts it into the hand of the balabais, he did the akira, he did the hanacha. But if the ani picked something up from the outside, and the balabais took it from him, so the ani did not do an akira and a hanacha.
Okay.
Each case is like that.
Yeah, but then the balava will.
Neither is usher. Neither has to bring a chatas, because neither did a full malacha. You
by
need
picking
it.
it up from the hand.
That's not enough. You need an akira and a hanacha.
But when he picks it up, he's going to place it somewhere.
No, he picked it up in Rosh Hashanah. The ani's hand is in Rosh Hashanah. So it's only it's got to be it's got to be an akira from the Rishus HaRabim and a hanacha in the Rishus HaYachid.
But the akira could have been mutter. It could have been those. Both akira and hanacha have to be usher. But the akira, let's say it.
Yes.
Yeah.
If the akira is not a prohibited akira, it also wouldn't even come to it.
So-
No, but here we're talking about the one of them did a real akira and the other of them did a real hanacha. So combined, if one person had done that, you'd get a chayiv chatas. But since two of them did it, there's no chayiv chatas from this
But
pasuk.
so generally, if a person goes from the Shus HaYachid to Shus HaRabim, where the akira is done there.
No, if the akira is done
let's
in the
say-
Rosh
let's
Hashanah
say
and he
that.
takes it to the Rosh Hashanah and he does hanacha
what
there,
is
that's a
the- what
chiyuv.
is- So hold on, what is the? It's only the hanacha is the Isser one. The akira
No,
is permitted. It's in his Rishus HaYachid. It's in his Rishus HaYachid.
The akira, he can pick something up in the Rosh Hashanah. He just can't deposit it in the Rosh
But
Hashanah.
but that half is permitted. The akira is done by mutter, and the hanacha is done by Isser.
But if you did an akira in Rosh Hashanah and you did a hanacha in Rosh Hashanah, that's a malach on
I
Shabbos.
know, but it's not both. It's not. It doesn't have to be the akira and the hanacha have to be usher. That's what we just said, right? Didn't
No.
we just say that the
No.
akira and the hanacha both have
No,
to be?
no. We said that if two people did a real akira and hanacha, they're both potter. It's only when one person does the akira and hanacha himself, then you're fine.
But the akira though generally the akira is a mutter. It's just that when he puts the hanacha.
So
it's
if
on-
you
it's
have
outside.
kavana in your house to pick something up and go to the kitchen, and you change, it's also you're not going to be chayiv, but that has to do with kavana. You have to have a kavana to do an akira in Rosh Hashanah
Yeah,
and a hanacha in Rosh
So
Hashanah.
if he does bishogeg, or if he does.
Yeah, then you're not.
Lifting it up and then he walks out.
That would not give you a chiyuv. We're talking about the guy had the proper akira
To take
in
it
Rosh
out.
Hashanah to take it outside, but he didn't end up putting the hanacha outside. Somebody else did it. Itma nami. There's a brisa the same thing. Amar Chia bar Gabda. Nizruka mipia chabur, that the halacha was thrown from the group that was learning. The amru that ba'asoisa teaches me yachid shasachayv shnaim shasu aptur, that if one person individually does the whole malacha, you're chayv v'chatas. If two people do it, you're potter. Boimene Rav me Rebbe. Rav asked a fine question from Rebbe. Hitinu chavero. A person loaded up his friend in the Rosh Yachid with things on his back. Oichlin umashkin. V'hoitzian lachutz. The guy who had it on his back walked outside to the Rosh Hashanah with it on his back. Mahu. Do we say that Akira's gufo? Now remember, previously we're talking about you pick something up with your hand. So that's an Akira. So now we want to know, the fact that you moved your body with things on it, is that considered Akira's gufo, ka Akira's chafetz mimkomo? Means, if you're in Rosh Hashanah and I pick up this book with my hand, so that's an Akira's chafetz. The question is, here I'm not picking anything up with my hand, it's on my back. And I take a step and I take it. So is moving my body, is that considered like an Akira's chafetz from its placed on me? Umechayiv. And therefore now if I go outside and I stop, so I've had an Akira and a Hanacha in two different Rishus, I'm chayiv. Oidil malo. Or perhaps it's not considered an Akira's chafetz. So Rebbe responded, chayiv. But, eino dome liyodo. But it's not similar to the hand. example, a case where Rashi says, "Apshuto lifnim," the guf halacha, the person's body is on the outside, and he puts his hand on the inside, and the nosan balabayis l'socha, and the balabayis puts something into the hand of the oni, the potter bay, Tana, the masnis naf la'oni shotzia, that even if the oni pulled it back, if it's the balabayis who put it in his hand, you're going to be potter. So, my time of gufo nayich, his goof, it comes to a stop. Yodo lo nayich, Rashi. Hilkach ki hotzia lo okomidi. Means, think about it. The oni stuck his hand inside the house, and the balabais deposited it into his hand. And then the oni withdraws it. The oni never had, there was never an akiras chayfetz by the oni. Because the hand is in constant movement. It doesn't come to rest. We don't view the hand as coming to rest. But gufo naich, agabi karka, babi akira. Each step that the person takes, still while he's in his house, it's considered as if everything came to rest. Lishnachrin, Rashi learns a different shot. Yodo basar gufa greira. The hand always follows where the person is. And lo garse in the Asiri, this is Rashi explains it, it's extra. So the Gemara is saying that when a moving hand is not coming to rest, but the body does come to rest. So therefore, that's why you're chayiv, says Rebbe, because I did an akira inside, and then when I walked outside, I did a hanoch outside. Rav Bar Pachsi, you son of Gedolim, Lo amina lacha ki koi Rebbe baha masechta. Didn't you know the regular rule that when the Rosh Hashiva, the Rebbe, is teaching one masechta, lo tishayla b'masechta achrisi, you shouldn't ask him from a different inyan, because he might be embarrassed. He might not be holding kop in that inyan. Dilma lavadaita, because maybe you won't have it in mind. It's only the ilav the Rebbe gaver rabu. Rebbe is a great person. Ksafte, another person would be embarrassed. The mishani l'chashinuya, in order to come up with some kind of differentiation between one case and the other. And it might be the lav shinuahu. But hashta miyah shapir mishani. But here, Rebbe didn't get into trouble. He gave you a good nafkamina between the two cases. And I'll show you. The Tanya. Hayatayim ochlinu mashkin. Person was carrying food and drink on his back. Mibod yom. There was already, it was Erev Shabbos. And he's still inside. And at night, he walks outside his house to the outside, chayiv. It's the goof comes to rest, and even though he walked, it's as if he comes to rest with every step. A hand coming outside doesn't do the same thing. And that's why the oni was potter when he pulls his hand out. Now, since you began this discussion of yad, the Gemara is going to go into an investigation of what really is the halachic status of a yad. Amar Abaye. Pshitale, one thing I know for sure, yado shel adam eino lo kershus harabim v'lo kershus hayachid. What is the status of a person's hand? It's not a reshus harabim. It's not a reshus hayachid. And the Gemara will tell me why. Kershus harabim lo damya. It's not similar to reshus harabim.
You have a bina that it was a reshus harabim.
Well, we're going to deal with the issue. What is the status of your hand? It's its own reshus, and what reshus is it?
It's part of your body.
So there's a havamina that perhaps the hand creates a different reshus. It may not be part of your body, even though your hand isn't. You are in the reshus hayachid. Your hand may be considered something else. Or let's say you're in the reshus hayachid and your hand's in the reshus harabim. What is going to be the din of your hand? Does the hand follow where your body is, or does the hand establish its own reshus? That's what we're analyzing here. We're not taking anything on faith or on just assuming.
Assumption.
The Gemara is gonna drill down on this very carefully, and we'll prove to you Not like what you want to say, that it just automatically follows your hand. Let's see the case.
No, what I'm trying to say is that it's part of your goof, okay? Now, where you put the hand, that it determines whether it is a Rishus Harabim or Rishus Hayachid.
Maybe no, because
That's
you
what
might
I'm trying to say.
you might say, if you're standing in the Rishus Hayachid, and I stick my hand on the outside, so does it follow wherever my body is, and it's a Rishus Hayachid, or do we say, well, since the hand is in the Rishus Harabim, maybe it has a stance of Rishus Harabim, or maybe it creates its own Rishus, like a Carmelis, or maybe your hand is a Mokum P'tur. Well, we don't know.
That's kind of,
Okay, we don't know
I
yet.
have a hard time with it.
Right now we don't know any. Let's prove it from the cases we have. The Gemara wants to say, it's lo Kirshus Harabim, v'lo Kirshus Hayachid. Why not? Kirshus Harabim lo damya, from the case of miyado de oni. Right, the oni is standing outside. He's in the Rishus Harabim. And when the ani puts his hand into the Rishus Hayachid and deposits something there, we don't treat it as if it's, like, for example, let's say he picked something up in the Rishus Harabim and he deposits it into the Rishus Hayachid, we said he's chayiv for hotzah. But if the hand follows where he is, where is he? In Rishus Harabim.
outside,
So it should still be, it shouldn't be, there's no chiyuv there. Kirshus Harabim lo damim miyado do ani. And Kushayachid lo damid miyado de balabais. Same thing by the balabais. When the balabais is on the inside and puts his hand on the outside, there we said you're chayiv. Why? Since he's standing in the Rishus Hayachid, his hand should be the same thing. His hand should follow where he is. So obviously they don't. From the case of our Mishnah, it's clear that the hand is not following exactly where you are.
See what I'm trying to say? It only has to do if you actually take a separate object.
If you do what?
If you take that as separate object and bring it in or taking
Okay,
it out.
okay. We're talking about
Now
something.
the hand itself.
We're
if you
talking.
put the hand itself in, or it's still
We're
your
talking.
hand.
We're talking about when something is deposited in the hand.
Okay.
Absolutely. Not talking about the hand itself.
Right.
We're talking about when we're gonna because we're gonna talk about the concept as well. That for an akira and a hanacha to be valid, it has to be from a place that is choshev, like a place of dalad by dalad amas. If the thing was resting on a place, for example, not al dalad, we'll see there might be a shita that holds it's not really an akira or a hanacha. So that's the concept. What is the hand as a place for an object? Is it considered a mokum choshev? It's not dalad al dalad, but maybe they'll treat it like dalad al dalad because of the special quality of hands of a human being where things are moved, etc., etc. So, absolutely correct. We're not looking at the hand itself, we're looking at things deposited in the hand. So, boy Abaya. So, Abaya asked the question. Yado shel adam, ma'u te'asek karmelis. Maybe, we know there are 4 rishuyos. There's Rishus HaYachid, there's Rishus HaRabim. You can't go from one to the other. Then there's something called a Mokum P'tur. We're going to see anything above 10 Tfachim is a Mokum P'tur. It's a free space. So I can move something from Rishus HaYachid to a Mokum P'tur. Or I can move something from Rishus HaRabim into a Mokum P'tur. There's no chiyuv. Then there's a 4th Rishus called a Carmelis. A Carmelis is Me'ikar Adin, a permitted place. But the Chachamim made a Gzeira to say that it's prohibited. So it's a reshus that I'm not allowed to transfer to, but it's not. It doesn't create a chiyuv chatas. Okay. So right now, Abaya says maybe the hand is like a carmelis. Do we say mi kansur rabbanon la dur legavei? Do we say that the chachamim make a knas regarding your hand, like it's a carmelis to put something back into your hand? Let's see Rashi. Boy Abaya. Hashd the chazinin de lav basar gufa shadin law. We see now clearly from our Mishnah that the hand just doesn't follow where the body is. Le'inyin chiyuvim mido araisa. What was our Mishnah talking about? Chiyuv chatas, chiyuv daraisa. We said when the balabais put something in or pull it out, one person does the akira and the nachal, there's a chiyuv chatas. Fine. So you prove to me, when it comes to chiyuvim daraisa, that the hand doesn't care where the body is. But me alma iflig rishusei Mi achmar la rabbanon l'mevi carmelis. Maybe the chachamim were goizer on your hand. It's like a carmelis. Dehecha dehoishit yodo malaya. That maybe you have a full hand, and you put it into a different rishus. Lo yachzirena etzlo. So how about like this? You're in the rishus hayachid, Johnny. You have something in your hand. You put it outside, but then you bring it back to yourself. Maybe you're not allowed to do that. Maybe you got to keep it outside. Maybe lo yachzirena etzlo.
Without putting it down, it's just in and out.
Utehekach pshuta ad shetechshach. Maybe you have to sit there like that until it's nightfall. The kivan de lav basar gufel greira. Since your hand doesn't follow your body, nazis la rishus acheres midrabanan. Maybe now the hand becomes a different rishus, according to Chachamim. The gozer rishus midivreim l'Shabbos. She'asur lahachnis l'hotzim mimenu l'shus hayach l'shus harabim. Ushmo carmelis. This type of rishus that the Chachamim are going to gozer is called a carmelis. Kidetan b'pir kindal rishus l'Shabbos. Carmelis loshen ya'arav carmelo. Sheina lo hiluch tami l'rabim v'lo tashmish rishus hayachid. We're going to see like a beach is considered a carmelis. It's not really rishus hayach. It's not really rishus harabim. So maybe do they knas your hand or not? Toshma. So come out here approve. Hi, so yodom leah peiros. Person had a bunch of fruit in his hand. V'hotzia l'chutz. He took it outside. So tani chada aser lachzira. One person says, I can't bring it back into my hand. I can't put my hand back in. V'tanya idich muter lachzira. There's another person says, I can. Now, what's this machlokas all about? My lav v'hakamiflagi. Maybe these two brises, that one said you can return your hand, the other says you can't, they're arguing in the following concept. Demar sover kikarmelis damya, that it treats it like a hand. Just like I can't, so my hand, now that I stuck my hand outside, that means when my hand's on the inside, it's rishus hayachid. Now that I moved it to a different rishus, so yes, I didn't deposit it on the ground. If I did, I'd be chai v'chatas. But it's in my hand. Maybe it's now viewed as its own rishus and it's a carmelis. I can't go from a carmelis to a rishus hayachid. So therefore I have to keep my hand outside. Umar sover lavka carmelis damya. No, I can bring it back because it's not at the carmelis. That's what the Gemara wanted to try. Or it says lo. They don't accept that. The kulam carmelis damya. Really, it is treated as a carmelis. Then why am I permitted to put my hand back? Loi kasha. Kan lemata ma'asara. If I'm between the ground and asar tfachim, so that is where a carmelis can exist. It's not a makom p'tur. So if I'm below 10, so in a chanami, I would not be able to bring my hand back. Kan lemala ma'asara. But if my hand was above 10 tfachim, it's a makom p'tur, and I'm allowed to bring my hand back, because I can't create a carmelis in a makom p'tur. But everybody holds that if I'm within 10, my hand is a carmelis. That's one way of learning. The e-boy say really both Baraisa that said, one said I can return my hand, the other said I can't return, is dealing below 10. And the lavke carmelis damya. And nobody holds. The machlekes is not whether your hand is a carmelis. So the question is, why did one say I can return my hand, and why did the other Baraisa say I can't? Like kasha. Kan mi bod yom. Kan mishachashecha. Means I stuck my hand when it was still Friday, and now and Shabbos comes. What do I do? Versus I stuck my hand on Shabbos. What do I do? Mi bod yom lo kansur rabbanon. Means when I stuck my hand erev Shabbos, an hour before Shabbos, and my hand so happened to be out there all that time, and then Shabbos started. So I didn't do both actions on Shabbos. Pulling it in is not going to create a problem. But mishachashecha kansur rabbanon. Once it's Shabbos, the chacham made a knas. The Gemara says, what do you mean? Adarabba ibcha. Just the opposite logic holds. Mistavrit mi bod yom. Because if I do it from Friday to Ishadi, lo asadei chiyuv chatas. So since there's no chiyuv chatas, there the chacham have to make a knas. Otherwise, people will start doing that, like this rabbanon. But mishachashecha the Ishadi le asadei chiyuv chatas, lo like this rabbanon. They don't have to work because people are going to avoid the chiyuv chatas. And since Rabbi didn't give this explanation, so maybe Tif Shadrav Bibi Barabaya, maybe we have an answer to a previously thought unanswerable question. The boy Rav Bibi Bar Abaye. Rav Bibi Bar Abaye in another place asked the following question: Hidbik pat betanur. Now, if you go to one of these Israeli places where you see they're making real pita, how do they make pita? They take dough and they stick it on the side of the oven. And then there's an action called redia sapas. You take a shovel and you take it off the wall, like in a pizza oven, one of those. But instead of, so hidbik pas betoner. Now, let's say a person on Shabbos took dough and stuck it on the oven. Now, you're not chayiv until it bakes. So, Chachamim made a gzeira. You're not allowed. Redia sapas is osir, not minat Torah, but midrabanan. But if I leave that pas on the wall, it's going to bake, and I'm going to be chayiv chatas. So the question is, can I do redia sapas to avoid? Can I do a rabbinic prohibition before I'm over the Doraisa Dika prohibition? He'd be pasmar. Hitiro l'erdosa kodem shiyav l'dechiv chatas solo. Are you allowed to violate a rabbinic prohibition so you won't come to violate a Torah prohibition? So Tivshot, from our analysis, that we should say that you have to, one Bryce says you have to keep your hand outside the whole time, even though it's only rabbinic, so the law is tiru. So the person says, haloi kasha, the Tivshot. So that's not a problem. So you have an answer. The boy say, no. Our case about your hand, bringing it in and violating a rabbinic does not shed light over there. Loi kasha. Because kan b'shoigeg, kan b'mezid. What did you do? A person he didn't know that you're not allowed to do this. He putting the dough on the oven, he was a shogeg. It will never lead to a problem. So, and kan b'mezid. B'shogeg lo kansur rabbanon. If he did it b'shogeg, the chacham didn't make a knas. B'mezid kansur rabbanon. If you do it b'mezid, they made a gzeira. He boys say, I divided b'shogeg. Both cases are shogeg. The hacha that machloikas is bekansu shogeg got to mezid kamifliki. Are we making a knas even though you're a shogeg? Marasavar shogeg got to mezid. You do make a knas, and therefore you would not be allowed to put your hand or take the pas or take the redia sapasa. Marasavar loy kansu shogeg got to mezid. The boys say, if you want, I'll tell you another explanation. Loylam loy kansu. Really, they did make a knas. The loy kasha kan la osa chotzer